Like most of my fantastical, speculative rambles, you're going to have to forgive the inadequacy of the video's title. If I were to summarize for you accurately my idea for this ultimate battle/survival simulator, it'd probably resemble the Mad Hatter's inebriated diary, as recalled by someone suffering under the late-stage effects of a mind-control fungus. So, to save you time, the elevator pitch for my island from hell is this. Imagine Genndy Tartakovsky's primal Skull Island, not any particular version, Jurassic World Evolution, Spore, Ultimate Battle Simulator, Alien, Predator, Hunger Games, and Ark Survival, evolved all mixed, ground, mashed, thrown in a blender, baked into a pie, and called something generically epic. Now, if you've survived the infusion of prime, undiluted 90s brand Extreme energy, let me explain in, hopefully, more lucid detail my exact design for a new survival horror sandbox simulation, the likes of which you've probably never seen before. Starting as we must from the very beginning, our story starts off around 100,000 years before the Common Era, or BCE, on a planet in a remote arm of the Milky Way galaxy, nearly as far removed from Earth as one could conceive. Our knowledge of this deserted place comes courtesy of a lost alien spacecraft, evidently some form of messenger pod analogous to the Voyager probes, only much more sophisticated and durable, most probably thrown off its intended course by a close encounter with an unforeseen gravitational body. Although any more specific details than that were rendered indiscernible by the crucible fires of atmospheric entry, impact, and subsequent submersion in Earth's global ocean for at least the last 3 epochs. Fast forward to the year of our Lord, 2122, in the dawn of a new industrial revolution after the old one's precipitous order crashed under its own stupendously mismanaged weight, when a group of human scientists come across this wondrous alien machine, its internal features still not merely intact, but almost fully functional, even after all this time and through all the harrowing tribulations of its flight and arrival. After another several decades spent deciphering the thing's technological architecture and roughly translating its alien dialects into human speech, it's discovered that this is an invitation to compete in an event known in their native tongue as the Garek Ikvaki Quata, which approximates to that of the Earthling scientists as the Titanus Rex Ludus, or in more common terms as the Titan King Sport. From this and the aforementioned synopsis, you might think you can already see whereabouts our little backstory's heading, but you would only be partially correct. Fly ahead several more centuries to sometime round or about the mid-2550s, FTL travel has been achieved, albeit only for relatively small bullet-shaped craft known as home pods. Home being both an abbreviation for Homo sapien and an acronym for Human Ordnance Mover. Using these, we've managed to chart a one-way pathway to what our distant progeny will have named Terra Mortis, or Land of Death. Why? Because, you see, on this strange alien world, there rests a lonely island smack in the middle of a vast ocean that spans a full half of the planet's surface. This is no normal island, for apart from being a wholesale product of artificial engineering rather than natural forces, its vast and widely varied biomes play host to some of the deadliest creations ever conceived, from carnivorous plants to megafauna to killer insects to all forms of extraterrestrial abominations, which is where my comparative analogy from the beginning comes into the picture. And this is where our game starts. The most concise and practical gist is that, as it turns out, this world had been a bio-dumping ground, experimental testbed, and gladiatorial arena for the long-dead alien race that had mistakenly sent that message probe to Earth. Then, after reverse engineering not only the aliens' methods of FTL travel, but also their borderline preternatural genurite technology, we've begun to construct wholly artificial beasts to go and duke it out for our collective amusement, as well as for massive profits, naturally. And from here, it's more or less your standard science fiction future dystopian fare. Massive megacorporations, rival governments, rogue mercenary factions, and pirate outfits alike have all staked their claim on Terra Mortis's coveted title of Titanus Rex. But to gain this prestigious title, they'll not only have to brave a gauntlet of alien monsters, rampant genetic experiments from both humans and aliens alike, some of whom may very well have survived, thrived, and/or reigned sovereign on this embattled island for centuries or even millennia, but also challenge and defeat at least 5 reigning champions, as well as withstand a bombardment of challengers for the entire 3-round duration of a match. Though any non-native sentient specimens may be aided and abetted by outside sponsors, the Tyrannis Lyra Concordant, Terra Mortis's ruling body, has strict rules and regulations in place for how, when, and in what amounts this support may be brought in, so all combatants entering should plan to rely only on themselves, their wits, and whatever home-brought provisions they have on their backs. And lest any unwary sponsors be nurturing any unsportsmanlike thoughts about testing the arena's bounds, let it be known to you that the Titan Wardens are every bit as deadly and ruthless as their protectorate, and they're as obliged to suffer cheaters as nature itself is to forgive caloric debts. Speaking of which, now's probably as good a time as any to lay out the official rules for this titanic contest. 1. Only one champion may enter per faction per round, a round being one Terra Mortis solar orbit. 2. Only fully organic specimens allowed. No cyborgs, androids, or vehicles may enter the arena. 3. Any and all forms of weapons and equipment are permitted, so long as they can be wielded by a single living operator without any external or automated support, meaning no crew-served weapons or AI drone swarms. 4. Challengers may only leave the arena if they defeat the reigning champion, or if their recovered remains should serve as collateral for outstanding debts. And 5. Champions may only leave the arena if they survive at least 3 full rounds, equivalent to 1 full Earth year, defeat at least 5 closely ranked challengers, or if their recovered remains should serve as collateral for outstanding debts. As for how ranks and matches work in this environment, every time a creature, champion, or challenger enters combat, a scoreboard appears featuring 5-factor boxes. Wins, 1 point. Losses, -1 point. Wounds, plus or minus half a point. Kills, plus 5 points. And deaths, -10 points. Unlike a plurality of games, a win or loss doesn't necessarily equate to a kill or death. If a combatant exits combat while having inflicted fewer wounds than their opponent, it'll register as a loss, regardless of whether or not either succumbs to said wounds. However, should a fighter overcome a foe to whom they'd lost in the past, an avenging bonus point will be applied to their victory score. Likewise, killing a higher-ranked opponent will yield more points proportionately to the level difference. So if a rank 1 kills a rank 2, a single extra point shall be awarded. But should they somehow manage to overcome an adversary of rank 4 or higher, an additional multiplier of 2 shall be applied to the previous addition. While on the flip side, repeatedly gnashing on prey far below your own level will earn you an infamous tag, a signal to all other predators and parasites alike that your head will now be worth a staggering 100 extra points. The specimen with the most points to their name at the end of a round is given the title of champion, and the champion with the greatest number of wins at the end of the match shall be named the new Titanus Rex. Of course, by the eternal law of the jungle, there can be only one, but that's a subject all to itself that will have to be addressed elsewhere at another time. For just now, one last important area I want to quickly gloss over before I sign off on this episode of My Brain on Magic Beans are the basic rudiments of life and death in my arena. As you've no doubt gathered by now, this most dangerous of games sports one of the deadliest menageries ever conscripted for its purpose, from outright alien xenoforms to prehistoric revivals, along with a whole Babel encyclopedia's worth of Chimeran hybrids. Some a product of the island's original progenitors, others of wholly human manufacture. All forms of faunal life on Terra Mortis are broadly referred to as specimens. These are then filtered down into 4 general categories: predators, prey, scavengers, and parasites, and can occupy one of 3 subcategories: carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores, which will determine not only their stat spreads, attributes, and modifiers, but also their general attitudes, styles, methodologies, and temperaments. If you've taken a biology course at any point in your life, you'll not need me to explain these to you. However, members of all categories can also fall into one of 4 division slots: champions, challengers, creatures, and monsters, all of which also mean pretty much exactly what you'd think they would. All might be either solitary or social. They could be specialists or generalists. Some may hunt in packs or roam in herds. Some may be wildly more intelligent than others. Many can form alliances or hold grudges against each other or the player. Much like how the Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system allowed for unique encounters and interactions with the orcs the PC encountered, this game would leverage AI models along with all the usual tricks to uniquely and dynamically mold a player's every individual experience into a grueling life-or-death struggle for survival and supremacy. And on that grimly optimistic note, this strikes me as the optimal time to round off this random bus tour of Crazy Town. Hopefully you enjoyed. And if you've made it this far, hopefully you'll consider leaving a like and or subscribing if you haven't already. Also, if you're in the mood and have one to spare, consider possibly tossing me a coin, becoming a channel member, checking out my eclectic works on Amazon, or coming over and joining the Discord. All links will be where you'd expect. But in any event, as per usual, until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and remember, Life's too short to take seriously. Peace.